Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
What is emotional intelligence, or EQ, and why should we care about it when building a company? People with high IQ work better with others, they manage customers more effectively, and they cultivate an accepting company culture. Today's quote, emotion is more powerful than logic. Any idea who said that, Miss Shawn Andrews?
I do, actually. I would love to know if your listeners have any idea.
Well, I can't call in right now, so go for it. It was me.
I could give you a whiz you, Rick. Absolutely.
But, Albert Einstein preceded me on that one. I'm Rick Girard. Welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our mission is to provide proven tactical solutions to solve your company's toughest hiring challenges. We share insights from top-performing entrepreneurs and industry experts, like our guest today, Dr. Shawn Andrews, who's the founder and CEO of Andrews Research International. Dr. Shawn Andrews is a keynote speaker, organizational consultant, and founder and CEO of Andrews Research International. She serves as adjunct professor at Pepperdine Graziadio.
Graziadio
Business School. I knew that one was going to throw me. I practiced it earlier too, and it totally threw me off. Where she teaches courses in organizational behavior, women in leadership, diversity in organizations, and leadership and ethics. She was the 2017 Diversity and Inclusion columnist for Training Industry Magazine, and is the author of the book, The Power of Perception, which is leadership, emotional intelligence, and the gender divide. So we're going to pick off emotional intelligence today. Yay! All right. So welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today, Shawn.
Thank you, Rick. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So today we're going to cover EQ. What is it? How do you get it? And how to incorporate it into your hiring process.
Yes.
All right. So we're starting a little bit late, so we're going to have to crunch into it really quickly. So I want to get the easy part of the way. What is EQ? Go.
In a word, or in a sentence, it's your people skills.
Okay.
So it's different than IQ. So our IQs we all know, is our intellectual ability.
Mm-hmm.
But that remains relatively stable our entire lives, and it's pretty much fixed by late teens. But your emotional intelligence improves as we age. So hopefully, if we're aware of it, aware of our skills, and working to actively improve it, it will increase with age.
Okay. So it's a way of managing emotions?
Yeah, it manages emotions, but it's actually a bit more than that. Let me read you the formal definition for your audience out there. So It's a set of emotional and social skills that collectively establish how well we express and perceive our own emotions, how we develop and maintain our social relationships, how we cope with challenges, how we manage our stress, how we make decisions, and finally, how we use all of that emotional information to guide our thinking and our action.
Okay, so besides the obvious, which is low emotional intelligence breeds bad cultures, that seems obvious to me. But why is it important?
Actually, there's tons of data around this that we know that EQ has been a proven indicator for success in not only life, but in work and leadership and in teams. So it has direct application to the workplace. So leaders that have higher EQ perform better overall.
Okay.
Teams that have higher EQ way outperform teams that are lower in EQ.
Is there data on that and what the percentage difference is?
I haven't seen actual percentages, but there's lots of markers, lots of characteristics. Yes.
Yeah, I saw a few.
There's actually behavioral things you could visibly see between high EQ and low EQ teams. If you want, I could.
It'd be interesting though to see the data, but okay, here's so what if you don't have or you have low EQ? How do you get it?
Well, first of all, none of us know whether we have high or low, right? We can guess, whether you're good at people or skills or not. But the best way is actually to get an EQ assessment, and vast majority of people never do that. I would highly recommend for your individuals who are listening, if they have the chance to get an EQ assessment, it's a great idea. If organizations, from an organizational perspective, you can offer it as part of your professional development.
Okay.
But that's the first place to start. So you get a comprehensive profile. It's about 40 pages, customized to you, and it tells you how you stack up in the different EQ competencies. And so it serves as a great starting point.
Okay. Sounds good. So take an assessment and then read a book or get some coaching.
Yeah, so absolutely. There's some great books out there on EQ. There's assessments, different models. But,
cool.
Training workshops is something that a lot of companies provide. And so we certainly can look for EQ skills in our hiring as well as our development and as well as our leadership talent.
Perfect. All right. So if you're just joining us now on the live stream or the podcast, you're listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and today our guest is Dr. Shawn Andrews, the founder and CEO of Andrews Research International. So we just gave you like a little short 411 on what EQ is, so you're all experts now. And now we're going to talk about how to identify what EQ you should look for in different roles and how to embed that into your interview process. So let's break into this because this is where I want to spend most time. Different roles that are available require different levels of types of EQ. Run me through the different types of EQ if you could. So
first, important to know that there are 3 major commercial models out there. Multi-Health System has a model, Talent Smart, and then Goldman, the ESCI. So there's 3 main models that folks use. I have found that the most robust model is the Multi-Health System EQI 2.0.
Okay.
So what all these have in common is there is overlap in the EQ competencies, but the models are slightly different. So the reason I wanted to preface that because
why is that important?
Because I'm speaking. So to answer your question, I'm speaking to the EQI 2.0 model.
Got it.
And so basically, there's 5 major composites or categories, and then within each of those 5 categories, there's specific EQ competencies.
Got it. What are the main competencies?
Yeah. So the main, it includes your confidence, your assertiveness, your empathy, your interpersonal relationships, your stress tolerance, your impulse control, how you manage your own behaviors and impulses.
Okay.
Decision making.
So if you're really good looking and you're running through the office, screaming at people, that's not EQ.
Right. That is not EQ.
Vanity isn't one of them.
Nope.
All right. Let's talk about how that breaks down into different roles, right? So we have a lot of leaders who listen to the show, and we kind of tailor the show toward business leaders in helping them to make great decisions. So from a leadership perspective, what makes a good leader?
Actually, a lot of things make a good leader, but emotional intelligence specifically.
On the EQ side.
On the EQ side, yeah. Well, EQ plays in quite a bit to leadership. So if you look at the top skills for a leader, interpersonal skills is one.
Yeah.
You'd have to be good and proficient in how you relate to other people.
Yeah.
So that's a key EQ skill. Your assertiveness, your ability to express what you want, what you need.
Sure.
And then your self-awareness. And that has been shown in multiple studies that leaders, that's the one trait that's lacking most in leaders is their self-awareness.
Yeah. A lot of times the leader is the last one to know that nobody likes them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've been there. I was a bad leader at one point.
Well, and leaders often don't.
There's a quiet moment.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for your candor. And a lot of us have.
We've all been there.
You have to learn as you go, right?
Yeah.
But oftentimes, if you're in a leader position, you don't get candid feedback from your employee.
So I got into leadership the traditional way. I was a high-performing individual, and they said, you should be a manager. Got no training. I was just thrown into it.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where I just made every mistake possible. And, to this day, I probably still make mistakes, and we all do. But still, that was my self-awareness moment. So leadership. Okay, so then let's break it down into some of the main categories for companies, right? So you usually have sales, you have kind of marketing, creative people, customer service, product development, or manufacturing. Let's break it down into those buckets, right?
Yeah.
So what are we looking for from an EQ or intelligence perspective for like sales?
Yeah, and it varies. It absolutely varies. So if you're a hiring manager or a recruiter and you're looking for specific traits, keep these in mind. So for sales, self-actualization is something you want to look for. Now, that is, for your listeners, it's the pursuit of your dreams. It's being action-oriented. And it's the pursuit of your goals.
Okay.
So for a sales rep,
not being money motivated necessarily.
Well, it could be. Yeah. It actually could be because that could be one of your goals.
Okay.
Which is perfectly fine for some people. Other people would want to build relationships or have the recognition of being top on their team.
Sure.
So self-actualization is a key trait for a salesperson.
A strong salesperson.
A strong salesperson, yeah. A couple other things to look for would be someone strong in assertiveness, and overall happiness and optimism actually plays into sales success.
So then how do you find out if somebody's happy? Because everybody's happy when they come in for an interview.
They should be, huh?
They try to be.
They try to be.
So, all right, we'll dig into that a little bit more after we finish these up. So marketing, creative people, what do you look for there?
Yeah, marketing, optimism would actually be one of the best traits for a marketer.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine you want a pessimistic marketer.
Right. Because oftentimes you have to be visionary to be a marketer. And so you have to have faith that your vision will play out.
Sure.
And so have an optimism. A couple other traits to keep in mind is reality testing. And that's an EQ skill that actually is an ability to look at what's real and parse it out, basically what's possible and what's probable.
So backing in your decisions up with data.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And luckily we have the technology to do that these days.
Staying grounded and realistic in your goals as well. That's reality testing. And then independence is another key trait for a marketer.
Customer service.
Customer service, actually stress tolerance would be the EQ skill you'd want to look for here.
Well, yeah. So so we probably create a really stressful environment in the interview process to see how they handle it.
Right.
There's hint number 1.
Right.
All right.
And when people call into customer service, oftentimes those are not happy calls, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to manage stress and people coming at you with different complaints.
And oftentimes you're taking a beating, which is terrible.
Yeah.
That's a tough job. And to do it with a smile, okay. And then the other two?
Actually, at manufacturing, if you look at that, flexibility would be the number one skill there.
We had customer service, we had stress tolerance.
For the other two, for customer service.
Yeah.
Assertiveness, surprisingly, is a trait for customer service. So you have to be high in your stress management, but you have to also be able to, in a polite and friendly way, assert the position back because they're likely complaining about something. So you have to be able to...
And they're likely wanting to talk to your supervisor.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then happiness, surprisingly, is another EQ trait that serves, successful customer service
Well,
folks.
It seems to me like happiness would transcend over everything, really. Because if you're an unhappy person, it doesn't matter where they put you, right?
Yeah.
But it's probably not as important in manufacturing. You can have miserable people that aren't.
Well, in a word, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Happiness
we can
actually
be frank here.
helps us in general in life, right?
Yeah.
But certain professions, happiness is not one of the top EQ traits. So it's really important for your listeners to know if they're looking for EQ traits when they're hiring, then know what they're seeking first. Figure out what they want in that role, and then they can hire for that.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother show. So, product development, manufacturing, those. So that'd be what, engineers, accountants, that sort of.
Yeah. People on the front line, people actually making the products.
Making stuff happen.
Yeah.
You build it, it will come.
Yes.
Not really, but.
So not surprisingly, flexibility is a skill here that serves them well.
That's the number one.
That's the number one EQ skill for manufacturing.
So being able to pivot if they need to.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because things go wrong on the manufacturing process.
All day long.
The product line, right.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to flexible and roll with the changes.
Okay.
Other EQ skills to look out for is problem solving.
Okay.
So again, when things go wrong, how are they going to address that? Because if they don't, the line can't get out the door.
See, I would think that problem solving would be number one. Because really, as somebody who's on the front line, that's what you're doing. But that's interesting.
Yeah, well, those two go hand in hand, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, to be a good problem solver, you need to be flexible.
Okay. And then finally?
And the third one is independence. And that's the ability. So if you're out there working on the line and you have certain functional responsibility, you have to have the independence to make your own decisions when needed. Because sometimes those are critical decisions on the spot. And you don't always necessarily need to check with your manager to say, hey, can I make this change to get, to fix this crisis?
Got it. All right. So this all rolls into how do you interview for this?
Yes.
This is the money moment for our audience. All right. So I have a theory in the way in which I approach it because I'm a big believer in EQ and hiring for all the other reasons other than skills, cultural fit, and everything else. But behavioral interviewing has been by far the best way to uncover whether or not this person fits from this perspective. All right. So what are your thoughts on that and how would you do it?
So absolutely, I agree. Behavioral interviewing is key. So you can ask specific questions that's going to tease out the different EQ competencies that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're looking for an employee for a role, high in self-awareness, here's a question you can ask. Describe a time when you felt you were unfairly criticized and how you handled it.
Perfect. And then what's important here is that you just don't accept the first answer. You keep digging and testing it because you really need to understand the inner motivations of each question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What drives this person?
Yeah.
But first and foremost, when you start this process, I find it's really important that you make the person comfortable because you want to get to the truth. And you want to make them feel like it's a conversation, kind of warm, more informal as you go into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always start out with the obvious, tell me about a win you've had and how you did it. Because it makes them feel triumphant and good. And then we can get into the deep, dirty stuff after that, right?
Yeah. And note, there are dozens of questions you can ask to tease out these different...
Hundreds.
There are.
Yeah.
But So these questions I actually put together for a recent presentation, but these are questions that I picked that are simple, but they will give you a wealth of information as if you dig deeper. So you ask the initial question, and there's several follow-on questions you can ask to get the information you're looking for.
And you know what the beauty of behavioral questions are? You don't have to deal with any sort of compliance issues, which is a big concern for a lot of HR departments. You can't ask this, you can't ask that. Behavioral questions are, tell me about a time you did this. And it's super easy if you dig to it, which brings up my point. And I heard it not too long ago, which is hire hard, manage easy. So if you make the hiring decisions difficult, and then your management job is super easy.
Yeah.
It becomes much easier.
Yeah. I'll give you actually another quote you just reminded me of that pertains to our discussion. In general, we hire people on your IQ, but you're fired on your EQ.
Ooh, there is a teachable moment. I just stole that one from you, Rick Francie. All right. One last thing I would add to this is really important is deep reference checking. If you can, there's compliance things there, but if people provide you references, test out everything that you're told. Just keep digging deeper. So, gosh, we're just about out of time for today's show, Shawn. Thanks for your time investment today, and I want to welcome you to the Higher Power Radio Show community. Now, what would be the best way for members of our audience to reach you, find your book, and maybe hire you as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned my book, so I brought a copy of it here to show your listeners.
Yay, it's a good book. I'm about quarter of the way through, sorry I didn't finish it yet.
Well, it's not a Harlequin romance. It's 300 pages. It's a significant, robust book. But Power of Perception, Leadership, Emotional Intelligence, and the Gender Divide. So this is based on my dissertation research, and this book launched in March recently.
Awesome.
But so I have a whole chapter dedicated to emotional intelligence and how it plays into talent management.
Perfect.
So that's in there, and a lot of others on leadership and gender topics.
And then do you have a website?
I do, yeah. And that's probably the best place for folks to reach me is drshawnandrews.com. It's
perfect.
DR, no period, just Dr. Shawn, SHAWN, Andrews.com. And so I have a wealth of resources on there. There's videos, interviews, podcast interviews.
Awesome.
There's articles.
Well, and I'm sure this podcast interview will be on there soon too.
I would hope so, yeah. Can I offer your listeners one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So on my website, there is a free 25-page download. And it corresponds with every chapter in the book. So if your listeners want to go deep in a particular topic, they can do that. So it's an editable PDF. It's a self-assessment.
Perfect.
Based on the book.
Love it. All right. So everybody, check out our website. All right. I want to thank our listening audience for tuning into this week's episode of Higher Power. A quick thanks to our team, our engineer, Paul Roberts. Yay. Our producers, Andrea Ballin and Shanti Ryle. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review our show. We want to make the content amazing for you. You can join the Higher Power Radio community at Higher, that's HIRE, we're not religious, Power, POWER, radio, RADIO.com. You can follow me and check us out on all the various platforms, iTunes, iHeart, all those things. Hey, I will be moderating Disrupt HR on September 27th here at UC Irvine. I'd love to have you guys come join us. And also on October 11th, I'm joining forces with Productive Learning for our Win the Hire workshop, which we're conducting here in Irvine. So would love to have you check out our website and come join us. Tune in next week as we are going to be, speaking of disrupt, discussing disruption with our guest, Scott Hamilton, who's the president and CEO of Executive Next Practices. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard on OC Talk Radio.